Welcome back to another episode of KTM Summer Grill. My name is Simon Chapman, Supercars reporter for speedcafe.com, and today I have the pleasure of having Formula One reporter Matt Koch on board to talk about Daniel Ricciardo's success and struggles in 2021. Matt, welcome on board.
Thanks, Simon. Great to be here. We have a fair bit to chat about, I feel.
Yeah, it's a fascinating year for Daniel, wasn't it? I guess let's start on sort of the high notes, I guess. The ultimate success for him coming at the Cathedral of Speed at Monza. What a fantastic result for Daniel joining McLaren.
Yeah, and no one really saw that coming either. McLaren dropped into Monza, and suddenly it was quick. And it wasn't just quick, it was as quick as the Mercedes. And who would have thought that heading into that event? Clearly, as soon as Daniel got in the car, he knew something, because speaking to him across that weekend, he was saying that, he felt that he had a good opportunity, and he was disappointed after the opening day because he didn't feel like he maximized that opportunity. Obviously, he corrected that on Saturday in qualifying, and then on Sunday, he won that race. He didn't just inherit it. He didn't benefit from others' misfortune. Yes, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton had their issues during the race, but at that point, Daniel was already leading and had been since the race start. He got the start. He was dominating that race. Lando Norris in second, acting as his rear gunner. It was a phenomenal drive, and the first time since 2012 that McLaren has won a Grand Prix. So a great result for Daniel. He showed that he's still got it. He said over the radio, for those that thought I'd gone anywhere, I've not gone away. A really good confidence boost for him after what was a tricky and I think confusing first half of the campaign for him.
Well, by and large, though, the first half of 2021 wasn't bad, was it? I believe it was only, 4 or 5 races in the first 13 in which he finished outside the points. And then sort of after Monza, it seemed to trail off. I think he only got a handful of results in the points and might have even had a couple of retirements at the back end of the year. It sort of felt like, and at least reading speedcafe.com, that throughout a lot of that first half, it was like, all right, we're getting there. And then after Monza, it was like, we don't quite know where we're at this point.
Yeah, I think there's probably two things at play there. Firstly, in the first part of the year, he had Lando Norris in the other car, a guy who's driven that car for 2 seasons prior to 2021, who was very familiar with it, who was very confident and gung-ho about making sure he beat his new highly rated teammate Daniel Ricciardo, Grand Prix winner, the first time he's gone up against a Grand Prix winner in his Formula One career. So he needed to stamp his authority and show that he's worthy of that seat. So he had that to contend with. Firstly, it did Daniel. Secondly, McLaren's back half of the year, just for whatever reason, just fell apart. There was no rhyme nor reason. It didn't get any slower. And if you actually look at the mapping of McLaren's first half of the year alongside Ferrari's, and they were the two title protagonists in terms of third for the championship, best of the rest sort of thing, the B-grade championship, they were nip and tuck throughout the first half of the year. And it was only when McLaren had a bit of an off weekend, and Ferrari had one as well at the French Grand Prix, that you'd see sort of some plateaus and steps along that progression for McLaren. That became far more pronounced in the back half of the season. Ferrari found something with its new engine, and that moved Ferrari ahead. As a result, comparatively, both Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo looked like they went backwards. They had a couple of incidents. There were a few retirements in there as well for Daniel, which didn't help things. He had something like, I think, 4 retirements or 4 non-point score results in a row, and that was his first half of the year versus 4 in a row at the back end of the year. So 2 very different halves of a championship, very Jekyll and Hyde, separated by the Italian Grand Prix as very much the high point of 2021, and arguably the high point of McLaren for the last 5 years.
If you're Daniel Ricciardo, is this a successful season?
Probably only Daniel can answer that one, but if you look at it in terms of did he achieve his objectives, yeah, he probably did. He was consistently in the points when they were on offer. He maximized what was available to him, particularly in Monza. The United States Grand Prix, Andreas Seidel said that, the team manager at McLaren said that was probably a better performance than Monza because he had to fight for that one. He had to work for it. He outdrove Lando Norris in a car that Daniel still isn't completely comfortable with. So on balance, yeah, you would say it was a successful first season with McLaren. Is it good enough in 12 months' time? If that was 2022, his second year with McLaren, no, it wouldn't be good enough. But in terms of McLaren's position in the field as it is, in terms of Daniel's experience with the team, yeah, I think 2021 can be considered successful for Daniel. But realistically, only he can honestly answer that one.
What's the expectation for him in 2022 then? Does he need to be matching Lando or bettering Lando, considering that, obviously the young Brighton has had a lot of experience in that team now?
Well, that's the $1 million question. He has to be matching Lando, absolute minimum. He cannot afford to be beaten by Lando Norris. The cars are changing for 2022. Hopefully some of the nuances of the McLaren that were very unique to the MCL 35, which was a 2020 car, and then the MCL 35M, which was the 2021 car, which they're basically the same car with a different power unit in them. They've got some very particular behaviors that Daniel wasn't comfortable with. It's hoped that with the design process and developing the 2022 car, some of those extra bits that Daniel can't deal with are smoothed out and the car comes a little bit more towards Daniel. So if that happens, Daniel should be on par, if not ahead of Lando Norris. Lando is potentially a world champion. He's shown that he can run at the front. He's shown that he can score pole positions. He doesn't yet have a race win, but you feel that that's not too far away. And when it does, I kind of get a little bit of the Nigel Mansell's about Lando, and that there's plenty of potential there. And just that's that barrier to a race win. Once he gets one, you feel that more will come. Should McLaren deliver him the car capable of doing so. That's what Daniel has got to contend with. He's got to work hard almost to deny Lando those opportunities simply by running ahead of him on the track.
Looking at McLaren as a whole, are they on the verge of something maybe akin to sort of that 2007, 2008 sort of period? Or do you sort of feel that whilst Mercedes have still got a factory presence in there, that McLaren's always going to play second fiddle to their father team?
Yeah, so McLaren is now a customer of Mercedes. 2021, it reverted to a customer supply of Mercedes power units. However, the regulations are now such that its power units are identical to the factory teams. Now, the factory team has the advantage that it can develop the power unit to suit its own packaging and everything else, where McLaren's got to adapt to that. So there are some intrinsic advantages there, but McLaren is making some huge investment off track in terms of new wind tunnel, all sorts of things that are going on that aren't going to come online for 2022. They're not even going to come online for 23. The first car that we'll see benefiting from all this infrastructure investment that the team's making off track is 2024. That said, they've made the personnel investment. They've done some good things in terms of the structure of the team. Financially, it's now sound. Earlier in the year, it had a couple of wobbles. So it's now all really safe and secure. It's looking really promising off track. On track, it's starting to deliver consistently as well. And that's going to be the key in 2022. I don't think we're going to see a standout performance. We're not going to see it suddenly challenging for a championship. But it'll be there or thereabouts with where it's been the last season or two. But it's got to be doing that more consistently. It can't have the back half of the year like it did in 2021 if it's going to keep that momentum going. As you get further towards the top end of town, things get harder. McLaren's had it not easy thus far, but the easy work is now behind it. What's that 80-20 rule? You do 20% of the work to get 80% of the way. Now they've got that last 20% to make up, and that's where the bulk of the work, the bulk of the effort is going to come on. All the while, they've got Red Bull there, they've got Mercedes there, they've got Ferrari, a resurgent Ferrari there. This isn't going to be easy because they've got to do a good job, and they've got to hope that the job that they do is better than what everyone else does just to catch up, and then they've got to get ahead. So McLaren is moving in the right direction. It's not going to suddenly arrive on the scene and destroy everyone I think that the likes of the 1998 season where it did that with McLaren, I think they're gone. I don't think anyone in Formula One can do that anymore. The regulations are just too tight. But yeah, I think they need to keep moving, just keep on the trajectory they're on. They don't need to go and make sweeping changes, and they will be there in time.
Yeah, I think it bodes well for a really exciting 2022 Formula One World Championship. Thanks for your insight, Matt. We're really excited for what's to come in the next season. So yeah, thanks for having me on board again today.
Thank you. I look forward to a mega 2022. New cars, drivers, new world champion, and an Australian Grand Prix, which we've not had in a couple of years. So yeah, it's going to be mega. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Fantastic. Well, that concludes another episode of KTM Summer Grill. It's Christmas Eve, so we'll wish you a Merry Christmas, and stay tuned for another episode tomorrow of KTM Summer Grill at speedcafe.com. As part of this year's KTM Summer Grill, each week KTM is giving away the perfect summer beach pack, which includes an umbrella, cap, gym bag and key holder. To enter the draw, head to speedcafe.com or hit the link in the description below.